Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about classes and methods. Under the topic we are going to talk about classes, methods and its definitions, information hiding and encapsulation. We are also going to talk about objects and references. In this video we have here a sample code, okay, wherein we created an object. So we have here a class, public static class cat. Now, we can also use just public class cat if you're using NetBeans or JCreator. But at this time, I'm going to use a static class so that we can use our class or we can instantiate it later on. Right now, when we talk about object creation, this will be our object. So we are going to create an object cat using public static class cat. This cat class is created inside the class main. So you can name your class, let's say sample class. Let's rename this one to sample class Java. Okay, so we have here class cat is created inside the sample class, but it is outside the method. Okay, so let me zoom this one out so you can see that we have created a class inside the class. So this is the end line of the class, right? And this one here is our main method. So if you have observed, we have created this class, class cat inside the sample class, but outside the method. Okay, so you can also use this one below the method. Okay, so let's say this one. So this here, our method will end. And we have here the end of our sample class. Now we can create another class inside our class or after the main method or before the main method. Okay, so you can do that one. So let me go back. So in this one, we have here, we have created instance variable. When we talk about instance variable, it is a variable that is declared outside the method, outside the constructor, or any block. Okay, so we have here in this sample, we have our class cat, okay, and we have here our instance variable. So this is declared inside the class, but this is outside the method. Okay, so if you have observed, we have methods over here sa baba. Okay, we will talk about these methods later on. And then just take note that these variables is instantiated or ginawa natin siya, dineclare natin siya inside the class cat, but it is outside the method, outside the main method and other types of method and the constructor as well. And we have here what we call method. When we talk about method, it is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation. Now we have two types of method which we already use, we discussed during the previous meeting, and we have the value returning method, or those that return a single value or an object, and we have those method that perform some action other than returning an item, which is what we call the void method. So we have two types of methods. So we are the value returning method is this one, get legs. That is a value returning method. That is, it returns a value. So it usually starts with the word get. Okay? And we have those that perform some action, or the void method, which is commonly starts with the set word. Right? Now let's have here an example. So after this line are what we call methods. So we have created a constructor. So constructor, by the way, will be discussed in the next topic, but we will just have an advanced review about constructor. When we talk about constructor, it is a special method. Okay, it is a special method in a way that it is named after the class. So if you have observed, the name of our class is cat, right? So we name our method as cat. So we consider methods if it has open and close parentheses. So all methods have its open and close parentheses. That is why we have here a constructor as special method. Okay. Right? Now, going back, we have two types of method. We have the void method that usually modify or set a value. So, it performs some action. So, ano yung action na ginagawa nito? So, it set the value for the legs. Now, we have int legs as its parameter. For the parameter int legs, it will, whatever we input for its parameter, it will be moved or ilalagay siya doon sa legs na variable, instance variable, which is this one. So we have used this keyword. Okay, this keyword is to identify that this object or this variable is this one. Okay, private int legs. So this one points to this variable, and this variable points to this variable. Okay, so that means this are two different variables, or these two variables holds different values. Now legs here have a value that comes from our parameter. Now whatever is the value of this variable will be assigned kay this that legs dito sa ating instance variable. Okay? Instance variable siya under the cat class, right? Next, we have the second type of variable. We have second type of method, which is a value returning method, which we used on the previous meeting. And some of you actually used the void method, and it is fine. You still get the same output. It depends on how you work with your codes. Right now, we have here a value returning method. So you usually starts with the word get it to identify that we get the value, right? So public integer get legs, okay, and it will return legs. So since value returning method siya, it always use the return keyword. Okay, and we have here public void set legs. Void method siya. It does not return anything, but it will work with something. Okay. Now we have another methods. So I have set here set legs and get legs. And the same thing we have here the void methods, public void set tail and public void set fur. And we have a method that return a value. We have public boolean get tail and we have public string get fur. Now we can also arrange these methods the same thing with this one. If you have observed, we have set legs and we have get legs. So I can also do that arrangement. So let's say we move this one just below the set tail. Okay, and we have here the get fur to this one here below the set fur. Now it's up to you how you arrange your code. It does not matter for this one here. Okay, but it will really matters if you set first the get then set, because the compiler will read line by line. The first, now let's say I want to set this one as all the void methods are at the top. Okay, so let's move all the void methods. Okay, so we have set tail, and let's move our set fur. Right? Okay, so it depends on which arrangement you are comfortable with. Okay, kung saan kayo comfortable, you can use that kind of arrangement. So void methods, public void set legs, public void set tail, public void set fur. So uses void keyword. Okay, like this one. This is the void keyword to indicate that it is a void method. And we have the value returning methods. Okay, uses return keyword. A public int get legs, return a specific value, legs, return a tail, and return a fur. Now, please do take note that this legs here is this one, right? And so kung ano yung value dito, let's say we set the legs, ano yung user input natin dito or value na nilagay natin dito sa parameter na to will be assigned dito kay legs, and then therefore it will be assigned dito sa variable na legs dito sa ating instance variable, and then we call it sa ating value returning method, which is get legs, and it will return yung value ng legs. Okay, and after that, please do take note that legs here, set legs is an integer. Therefore, we have to also set it as an integer value returning method, integer method. And we have here a boolean because we set it as boolean. So set tail, that means ang value ng method nito is a boolean, and our set fur is a string. So we have string get fur and boolean get tail. Now let's say for example if set fur is a, let's say, an integer, therefore this should be an integer as well. So I hope you get that idea. And next we have here that this keyword, which is mentioned earlier, can be used as a name for the object receiving the method. So let's say this one. This is the keyword that legs, okay, that this object will receive the method. Okay, this one here, ito yung method natin. This that legs will receive our method. Okay, within this definition. And we have the local variables. So variables that are declared within a method. Now, earlier we talked about instance variables, right? So instance variables are this one, private int legs, which is declared outside the method. That is instance variable. Now, dito, meron tayong tinatawag na local variable that is declared within a method definition. Let's say public int add, and we have our parameters int a and int b, and we have here we can set a local variable inside this method. Okay, let's say for example int sum is equal to a plus b and return sum. Okay, so this is a value returning method. So we can name this, instead of add, we can say get sum, right? And we have here int sum is our local variable. That is because this sum is declared inside this method. Now let's say if we have instantiated, or if we declared this variable, this one, inside the class, okay, and outside the method, that will be called instance variable. Now this is a local variable. The same thing with declaring a variable inside our main method, because main method is a method. Therefore, string a over here is a local variable. Okay, I hope you get the idea between the difference between local variable and instance variable. Now let's talk about information hiding. When we talk about information hiding, it is a mechanism for restricting access to some of the object's components. Let's talk about the advantages. So it makes components easier to understand or use, simplifies modification and repair, and facilitates reuse. Next, we are going to talk about public and private modifiers. Now we have public instance variable. We talk about instance variable that is found outside the method and inside a class. Okay, so that is a variable that has no restriction, and you can call it and use it wherever you can use its name. So let's say for example, if this instance variable is set as public, you can call this variable in our main method. Okay, but since it is private, you cannot use this one in the main method or in any other classes. So you can only use this private instance variable inside this class only. So let's check. This cat class will end dito. Okay? So you can never use, hindi nyo pwedeng gamitin or hindi niyo magagamit or matatawag itong instance variable na ito outside this class. It should be inside lang dito sa class. Kagaya ng mga variables natin dito. Okay? Tinawag natin siya inside. And yun, meron tayong private modifier, which is, if we use private modifier in an instance variable, it cannot be used to access it outside the class definition, like what I have explained earlier, that you can never use this one outside this class. Okay, hanggang dito lang po siya sa loob. Next, let's talk about public and private modifiers in methods. So we can also declare a method as a public method, which can be invoked anywhere without any restriction, so you can access it and use it anywhere in any class, in any method, in any classes. Okay. And however, we have a private method which cannot be invoked, okay, outside of the class definition, kung saan ninyo siya na-declare or ginawa, and it can only be used or invoked within the class definitions of methods in its class. Okay, so the same thing with the instance variable. This variable can only be accessed inside this cat class, but cannot be used in the main method. The same thing, this methods here can be used or can be called invoked in the um, our main method. So we have called it for Neko that get fur, get legs, and get tail. It can only be used inside this public class cat. We have here what we call the accessor. Accessor is a public method. Okay, it is a public method that returns a data from a private okay instance variable. So it typically starts with the word get. Again, so this is our accessors. Okay, accessor siya, that is because this is a public method, okay, that returns a data um, from a private, okay, private, this is our private instance variable. A private instance variable siya. Remember, we have declared this variable at the top, which is a private instance variable. Okay, and the next we have what we call the mutator. Mutator is a public method. Okay, so kanina it is also a public method. The difference is that this public method changes the data stored in one or more private instance variable. So again, it changes the data stored in one private instance variable, and it usually starts with the word set. So we have here our mutators. Okay, as you have observed, these are public methods. Okay, public set. Okay, set legs method. Okay, this one changes or modify yung value ng ating private instance variable na legs, this one here, by providing a value to it. Okay, so from empty value, it will modify or change the data into something with this parameter. Next, we have here encapsulation. So when we talk about encapsulation, it is the process of combining data and actions into a single item, groups instance variables and methods into a class, and hides implementation details. In an encapsulation, we have instance variables, that is what and methods that are grouped into a class. So we have here the instance variable and we have our methods that are grouped in class cat. It hides the implementation details. So these are the details. Okay, and we have here, we just call all those implementation. Our next topic is about the UML diagram, or what we call Unified Modeling Language. Okay, so UML class diagram, when we talk about UML class diagram, it describes the structure of a class by displaying the class name first on the first row. So this is how UML class diagram look like. So this is a class, okay? This diagram represents one class. The class name is called purchase, okay? Next, on the second row, or the following rows, are the variables. So we have here the variable item name, which is a string data type, and our variable name is item price, which is a double data type, and we have item quantity, which is an integer, and we have the total cost, which is a double data type. Next, on the third row, we have the methods. Therefore, in this purchase class, we have the variables 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, and we have to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 methods. Okay, so you're going to write the following or use the following methods. Okay, so this is a UML class diagram. Now, if ever on the later on, you are going to see your laboratory exercise that is in the form of the UML class diagram. So you will know what the name of your class will be, and what are the variables that you're going to declare, and what are the methods that you're going to create. Next, we have objects and references. So in computer programming 1, we have strings. Okay, in the strings, it can be stored as an object or in different references. So a variable of a class type contains memory address of the object named by the variable. Source of this memory location is called reference to the object. It's called reference to the object. Therefore, yung address na yun ang magiging reference natin sa object if we put a value to our variable. Now, class types are often called reference types, whose variables hold references or the memory address. Now, let's have here an example. Now, we have here cat1 that set name is Tom and cat2 set name is Tom. Now, we use cat1 is equal symbol. That means we are comparing if they are equal or not. Now, if cat1 is equal to cat2, they are equal, otherwise they are not equal. Now what do you think is the output? The output here is not equal because they have different memory location. Okay, so if cat1, if we use the equal symbol, equal symbol, it will compare the memory location, which is the first Tom, the value ng Tom is stored in a cat1 variable that is in another memory, and we have Tom here which is stored in cat2, which is another memory. Now, cat1 is equal to cat2. They are comparing its references. Okay? Kung saan nakastore yung memory. Kung saan nakastore na memory yung value na Tom. Okay? Now, paano natin i-check if yung value yung equal with each other, not the memory location? We use the equals method. Okay? So, we can also use dot equals ignore case. That is a method from a string class. Okay, now let's have here an example. So we have cat1 that's set name Tom again, and cat2 is set name as Tom. Now we use here cat1, we call cat1 that is Tom dot equals method cat2. So dot equals method compares the value. Okay, so it compares Tom to Tom. Now, if they are equal, it will result as equal. Otherwise, it is not. So we have here they are equal because Tom is equal kay Tom. Dot equals method is not the same with equals symbol na nag-check siya if it is equals with a memory location. Now, let's say for example, if we use dot equals method and small letter t yung ating Tom dito. Small letter t instead of capital letter T, it will return as not equal. Bakit? Because we have that equals method. It will only return true or equal if they are exactly the same characters. Okay, so if it's capital letter T and small letters O, M. Okay, now if we want na i-check niya regardless of the cases, hindi siya case sensitive, we can use the dot equals ignore case. Okay, so regardless if it's uppercase or lowercase, as long as they have the same letters or characters, it will result in an equal value. Okay, magiging equal na siya. And so that's it for this video. I hope you have learned something.